Okay, today's help question comes from Jim. And Jim says he came across PolyNome and he loves it. He's been using some simpler metronomes but needed additional functionality in the ability to use metronome in split screen on the iPad. Imported playlists from Spotify, and he says that he doesn't want to see the notes highlighted along with the audible click. I just want to see them on this. I just want to see the screen flashing to the appropriate time. Is there a way to do this? And can it be done globally instead of for each song? Also, I don't like to hear the first note accented. Can I turn this off for an entire playlist? And finally, can I change the settings for all future songs to default to not having an accented first note and not showing the individual notes being highlighted while playing the click? Just want to see a flashing screen if possible. So yes to all those. This final one is a change that I've just implemented. So depending on how quickly you see this video, it may not yet be implemented, but it will be. So let's start off by importing a Spotify playlist. So I have one copied in my clipboard. I'm going to go to the library and choose plus, new cover band playlist, and paste that Spotify URL in here and search, and this will bring up the contents of the Spotify playlist, and then you can just say add all to playlist and then hit done. And that should load up the playlist. And so if we play this, you can see what Jim is saying about these notes highlighting, and there's a different sound at the start of the bar. So first of all, let's deal with if you don't want to see this view. If you don't need to see the notes and you just want the setlist side of the view, you can tap on this button to hide, to make it full screen essentially, and then you can swipe the screen to view only the set list. So this is how I prefer. If I'm on a gig, I just want to see the set list and have the play buttons. You can also make this text bigger by tapping on the playlist name and choosing text size. So you can make this nice and big. And also in here, by the way, you can print a PDF of your playlist. So you can print that set list out, or you can email it to the venue for them to print out. And you'll notice that these buttons aren't that big. So if you're going to be reaching down and hitting the buttons, you might want to make them bigger. So you can long press on the play button and change the size like this. So you could have really big buttons. And because all of these tempos are already set, if you don't want to change the tempo during the song, you can hide the tempo controls. And now you've just got a giant play button that you can hardly miss, and previous and next buttons to move through the playlist. So this is the setup I would have on a gig, and you can quickly tap on a song you want to load. If you tap this one, for example, it will move it so that you can see the previous song and the songs after, and as you scroll through, it will always be second from the top, which means you can quickly see what the previous song was and go back. So now let's deal with flashing the whole screen. If you want more than just this play button flashing, in the menu, if you go to Preferences and Display Settings, you can choose to flash the whole screen, which looks like this. I'm going to turn that off for now because it's a little distracting while I'm showing you the other things. So you can turn off the flashing altogether if you don't want any flashing, but I'll put it back to the play button here. And you also have pendulum settings. You can choose to have the blocks and things go across the top. So this is pendulum plus blocks. Pendulum is the line going backwards and forwards. I think I will turn off that pendulum and just have the blocks up. So again, display settings, and we'll just choose pendulum. Sorry, we'll just choose blocks only. Okay. So next question was about not hearing a different sound on the start of the bar. So here what you're hearing is a few different sounds. There's the notation entered here, and if we show the mixer, so this button toggles the mixer, and if I bring all these faders down, so now we're not hearing anything. So line 1 is playing the sounds for this rhythm that's in here. The 1 fader is the quarter note in the tempo. So we've got two sounds playing at the same time. And then the bar fader is a different sound at the start of the bar. So if you didn't want to hear that bar fader, you can pull it down. And if you wanted just a single sound playing, you could, for example, pull down this one and just have the one fader up. However, that is only applying to the preset that we've got selected. You'll notice when I select the next one that those faders will go back up because we didn't change them for that preset. So if you want to change the volumes for an entire playlist, what you can do is tap on a fader and then you get a big fader here. And if you're in a playlist, you'll see a padlock here which you can tap, and that turns mixer lock on. And now any changes that I make are being applied to the entire playlist. So I've turned the bar fader down for the entire playlist now, and I will navigate over here and also bring the line 1 fader down for the entire playlist. And I'll turn that off. So now you'll see as I tap the different things that only the 1 fader is up. So we've just changed the volumes for everything in that playlist. And we're just hearing a click. So I'm going to push those back up to as they were and show you some alternative ways of changing those. And well, in fact, let's pull this line 1 down, and you can change these fader settings by tapping on the metronome here. You'll see if I choose bar off, it will mute that bar fader. So now we're not hearing that. And I can choose 8th notes or triplets or 16th notes. And I can also change the sounds here.
1, 2.
So you could have a voice count, for example.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's a quick way of changing the sounds. You can also tap on set sounds here, and you have a little bit more control. You're on the metronome here. You can change the sounds of the 1, the E, the and, the A, and the bar by just choosing something from over here. So let's choose the 1 fader.
1, 2.
So that's how you can choose from any of the hundreds of sounds. You can also drag them across like this. So that's how you set the sounds. So now finally let's talk about creating the default template preset that will be used for all of these song clicks, so that whenever you create a set list, it will use your settings. So to do that, you want to go to the library, go to the presets library and search for template. So this preset, when you load it, it will bring up a little bit of information or give you this banner that you can read a little bit more about it. But essentially, this is the preset that is used as the template whenever you create a new rhythm preset in here. So if you tap plus and choose new rhythm or new song click, those are rhythm presets like this, and they will use whatever settings you have in the template preset. So this is what settings we have at the moment. But let's say we want to change this to not play the bar fader and use a voice count. And then I'll also mute line 1 here. So
1, 2, 3.
Our template preset is a voice count. So now if I go back to the playlists and create that cover band playlist again, new cover band playlist, paste in the URL, and then we'll add all to playlist and hit done, and it should load it. And note, by the way, that you can rename it here. My gig. It calls it cover set list by default, but you can rename them. So now all of these will have been created with that template
1, 2,
using a voice count.
4.
So you could change that to whatever you want.
2, 3, 4.
And it will be applied whenever you create new song clicks or import playlists. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for using PolyNome. If you have your own questions, you can submit them at polynome.net/q.